I think this year is a year I don't care about. When you plan trips and things, you always think of the cost, right? Oh, should we be spending money right now, or how much is that going to cost? And this year is the year I'm going to do like the honeymoon scenario, where when you're on your honeymoon, you treat yourself, right? I want to become a SKU of one. I want to be a shop that only sells one product, and it's extremely niche and it's really good and people are really excited about it. If your post sucks and no one sees it, then great, because no one saw it. You can revise it, you can delete it, you can try again.
This is Jeff, by the way. Like this is one of the best person in this wedding photography industry. Sweet, genuine, funny, and you can count on him at any time. This is you. Maybe I had the wrong idea of you, but this is you.
Well, it's a great idea
thank
to
you.
have. So let's keep that. Let's keep that version. Thank you for that. That's
Yeah,
super
let's
sweet.
just, you know what? Let's just do the rest of the podcast in Italian, because it's
Va
wow.
bene.
You're gonna
Va
challenge
bene.
me too.
That was it. That's all I have.
By the
So-
way, every time I talk with Jeff, I tell him, when are you moving to Europe? When are you moving to Europe? When are you moving to Europe? He's calling you, Jeff.
it's for sure calling me. I mean, I'm back in March, so I'll be there.
Where?
Well, let's start with this. Why don't you introduce
Yeah.
yourself just for like
Yes.
give me a 30-second spiel about who Jeff is. Jeff the
In
apartment.
Italian.
Oh wow, in Italian. Let's level it up.
Wow, that's actually maybe the hardest question to ask me. Isn't that the hardest, to introduce yourself?
I can introduce you. You're Jeff for the
Oh,
apartment photo. We
please.
met you at Way Up North, and you gave a heartfelt what? I mean,
We
no.
met him in the US for the first time.
Oh,
that's
and
true.
WPPI. Well, you asked me to
That's
introduce,
right.
so you got my version of it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, but we met Jeff at Way Up North in Florence of last year, and he gave a really heartfelt and profound discussion talk. I won't jump into details of it, but I thought it was a wow. It was a great perspective shift, and I appreciate you being vulnerable enough and authentic enough to share that. So, cheers to you, sir.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been a wedding photographer for 17 years, which
The fuck?
Redeem.
Sorry, I had to do the
17.
math on that. 17.
Yeah.
So you would have been 3 when you started.
Six
my math.
years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually, this is my I'm in 85, so this is my 40th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got lots of fun plans. Actually, I have 0 plans, but I have ideas of how
You
I
have
want to
fun.
celebrate. Yeah, I just want to. I'm like, I think this year is a year I don't care about. You know, when you plan trips and things, you kind of always think of the cost, right? Oh, should we be spending money right now, or how much is that going to cost? And this year is the year I'm going to do like the honeymoon scenario, where when you're on your honeymoon, you treat yourself, right? You're like, oh, we should get that extra glass of champagne. We should get that caviar on top. We should upgrade our seats to business or whatever, right? And so I'm going to treat myself for my 40th.
Have you ever done that
So,
before?
okay.
Anything like that?
No, I have had the advice to, like, with your married partner, to honeymoon every once in a while, like decide and go, this trip is going to be another like honeymoon situation where we treat ourselves. I think that's actually really cool advice, instead of just being like, you get to treat yourself once and then just have like shitty vacations for the rest of your life. Like, no. And I was like, oh, that's a really good perspective, right? Because it's a mindset, right? Once you
Yes.
decide you want to treat yourself, you just do.
Yeah.
So it's
and
gonna
who
be
else would you treat?
working and enjoy the time while
Yeah.
you're here. Oh, where are you gonna be?
Sorry. No, I'm coming to Berlin for Way Up North again.
Okay.
And then I think I'm going to be around for about 2 weeks or so. So I have 0 plans. In fact, I don't even have a flight home yet. I have a flight there, and it's pretty open-ended.
This sounds like
yeah.
Jeff's grand adventure. You know, it's like the one-way ticket. I may or may
Yeah.
not come back when I feel like it. And
Yeah.
it's like, let the journey go, isn't it? A
Well,
bit?
so I did this trip. This is kind of off topic, but the last time I was in Europe was for Lisbon, for Way Up North in Lisbon. And again, I did the same thing. I booked a one-way ticket, and I attended way up north, really enjoyed my time. And then I had about 2.5 weeks before another conference in Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up connecting with an old friend of mine I've known for 20 plus years who makes YouTube travel videos. And he reached out and we started talking, and we came up with this idea of traveling from, like, as an experiment, an adventure experiment, travel from the Arctic Circle to Africa entirely by train.
Wow.
Other than, of course, the boat that you have to take between Gibraltar and Tangier. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And so we started in Narvik, Norway, with an 18-hour sleeper train to Stockholm, Sweden, which actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's kind of like you're like in a bed and you're just like being rocked. It's like a mother just like doing this to you for 18 hours.
Yes. I never
And
tried.
we went through all the different countries, and we had a rule was to eat the national dish before we left each country,
Oh my God.
which was a lot of fun. And actually, it became progressively more difficult because when you get to France and into Spain, they don't really have national dishes. It's more like regional
Mm-hmm.
specialties. And we just kept fucking up and like eating the wrong thing and like ordering things. And we'd be like, yeah, this is a national dish. And they'd be like, no, 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 no. And we're like, oh, we've messed up.
Have you ever
So
eaten
we're
anything
trying.
that disgusts you? Like, ugh,
No.
like the brain of some animals or
in Norway, like literally the first dish we had, we talked to the front desk of our hotel, like the hotel check-in person, and they said, oh yeah, it's this fish that we have. And I was like, oh, okay, great, we'll order the fish. She's like, oh, it's not for everyone. And we're like, oh, tell me more. And she says, well, we basically dry the fish for like 30 days. And you're like, okay, that's
okay.
fine, dried fish. But then we like wet it again. Her English wasn't very good. She's like, we wet it again. And I was like, oh, okay, so you like rehydrate it?
Back
She's
to
like, yeah, but
life?
then but she's like, then we soak it in a chemical. We're like, okay. She's like, it's like poison. We're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And then it becomes like, how do you say, Jello? And I was like, oh, okay, you're right. It is getting worse. So we go to this restaurant that she recommends, and we order the fish. And we ask the guy the same question, like, what is the process? And he says the exact same thing.
Wow.
He's like, dry, wet, dry, poison. And we get it, and it really does, like, it kind of has like a wah, 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 wah kind of
Like a
vibe to it.
jellyfish?
Like, but it didn't start as a jellyfish, and it ended up as a jellyfish. And I actually thought it was pretty good. It was a little weird, but it's fine. I'm Asian. I eat a lot of weird things. But my very white friend was like, no, hands off.
He
Wouldn't
didn't
have
even
it. He
try?
tried it. He tried it,
Okay.
and he just did like that. He did a face.
But
And I was like,
that
this is
kind of
Norway's national dish. You
yeah.
can't do a face.
Was that kind of the intent for the trip, to be a little bit more adventurous, to be a bit more out of the comfort zone? Or was that something you always are like? Are you always like that, or was that something just for the trip?
No, not at all. Like, it was within his comfort zone, because he does this all the time. He's a adventure YouTuber. I like to plan things ahead of time, book things ahead of time. We didn't book train tickets until the day of, like within the few hours that we wanted to leave, which of course led to missing trains or stressful. I felt like I was on an amazing race. Like, we would get to the train station and buy tickets and then frantically be like, where's platform 7? And running around. Like, I was sweating all the time. Like, it was very uncomfortable, but like, it was fun. And ultimately there's nothing on the line, right? Like, if you miss a train, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But we made it all the way to Marrakesh, and we rented a car and drove to the Sahara Desert, and that's where we ended the trip. And that was absolute bliss. I've never been to Morocco before. Highly recommend. I really enjoyed it. We had a lot of discussions about the difference of scam. Like, is it a scam if you're okay with it? Like, what quantifies a scam? And like, I was like, anytime you're being taken advantage of, it's a scam. And he's like, but it's fine. Like, he's like, $5 for a taxi anywhere else in the world is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, but like here it's only like $2.50 worth, for a short little ride. And he's like, it doesn't matter. It's $2.50. And that was our
I
only
love
conflict in
I
14
love
days.
the point though. It's a perspective, right?
Right.
If does it really matter?
Right.
Isn't that
Ultimately,
yeah?
it's not like we were scammed. And I,
A
now I
lot.
hesitate to use the word. We were never scammed a lot of money. Like we were talking dollars, right? And for him, he never negotiates. Like it's just not part of his nature. And so I taught him I was like, my mother, I'm going to impart my mother's wisdom onto you, and I'll teach you how to negotiate. And by the end of our Morocco trip, we got to the airport, and he negotiated, and we like haggled this guy, and we went from the equivalent of US dollars from $12 to $10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
he was
job
like,
well done.
he's like, are you happy? We saved $2. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy.
Yes,
It's a principle.
The
it's the
principle.
principle. Very Italian. But
So
did you felt like okay to detach yourself from work? You were able to do it, or you went like, oh my God, I really wish I have somebody to photograph here, or this
mm,
feeling of guilty because you're not doing nothing for
yeah,
work?
yeah, of course. As a I don't know, entrepreneur, business owner, of course, anytime you aren't working, you feel guilty, right? And I think what helped was I was on this trip with the I was on a trip where the intention was to help my friend create this content for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, I was working. Like I wasn't just walking around eating croissants and enjoying my day. I was thinking like, okay, like what's the next thing we have to film? Or
Okay.
it was a really big travel project essentially. And what I loved about it was my friend was actually very encouraging. I spent a lot of time talking about how I want to rebrand the apartment, and I want to have it have a new look and a new perspective. And so he was really encouraging as we went through the different countries. He suggested that I take photographs in my style that I do, but of travel rather than of people. We talked a lot about how when I Instagram like stories, it's
Mm-hmm.
the time I turn off my head. Like I just go like, yep, I ate this, or oh, I
Mm-hmm.
landed in Las Vegas. Like
Yes.
I'm such a millennial when it comes to that. I'm like, here, I'll just show you exactly what's happening. No creativity, right? And and he challenged me to be like, okay, why don't you do your style of photography, your editing and your look and the way you see light, and do that, and then bring that to your stories so that people start seeing your work through a kind of a less like a more behind the scenes vibe
Yes.
rather than just the things that you post. And so yeah, I did that. I don't know if it was successful, but I have a lot of pretty pictures from our travel, so that's nice.
That's what we
what
want as a photographer.
what was it helpful to get outside perspective? That's when I feel like when we work inside the wedding industry, sometimes we get stuck inside the bubble of the wedding industry, and we try
Hmm.
to, and sometimes we copy or we get inspired by what we see all the time.
Yeah.
How did hanging out with your friend? He said he's a travel content creator. What did that bring to the table? Was it just getting outside, seeing a different
Mm,
perspective? Was it
yeah.
traveling? Was it all of it? How did that kind of influence your next branding, your next revision?
Yeah. I think as a photographer, I've always, uh, I don't know if it has anything to do with being a photographer, but at least I would say in our industry here, there's this push to be like as authentic as possible. Right. And my interpretation of being authentic meant showing the real me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Showing, the good days, the bad days, your dinner at whatever restaurant you're at, whatever it might be. And I think, myself and my partner always kind of thought of like, okay, if we're not being authentic, then we're not being real. We're lying to the we're lying to the world. So authenticity was really important. But having worked with or traveling with my friend who's a content creator, he's so focused on creating content that is of a certain genre, of a certain look, of a certain vibe. And what's the word I'm looking for? He normalized telling a very specific narrative.
Okay.
And so Kat, right? So I worked with I've worked with Kat for almost 2 decades. She never really loved social media from the kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm in Paris. Oh, look at me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm Hawaii. She never really resonated with that. And I'm not saying that like I just wanted to be like, hey, look at me. It was more like, well, we should be showing this because that's kind of the point of social media. And I think where there's the Venn diagram where things overlap is my friend Mike was kind of saying like, okay, well, what of what you're doing relates to telling the narrative of your brand, of your story. And even though you're only showing that part,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean you're not being authentic.
I
Interesting.
love
My
So
that.
it teach you
I
to select, to like, it's not like show everything. It's just the part of the trip that resonate with you, who you are.
right, right, right. And it's tough because for me, if you don't tell, it's kind of like, is it telling the truth if you skip out parts of the story? Right. And that's a perspective thing. And I think the point is like, okay, but we're not talking about being in a relationship. Like if your partner tells you, they went for dinner, but they didn't tell you what they ate or who they were with. It's like, oh, that's a no. You have to like tell
Yes,
me all the details. Okay, but it's a business, right?
it
And
is.
you don't need to tell your prospective clients what you had for dinner if it has no bearing on, the story or the narrative that you're telling. That doesn't make
I
you
love
less
that. I love that you use the magic word. Defining authenticity, because we have different faces or personas, perhaps, and we don't show everything to everybody, even in life or even to our friends and family. We show them certain
right.
parts and qualities of us. So, like defining what authenticity is for each person is individual and unique. Sometimes you may get claims you're not authentic enough, and sometimes you're too authentic, right?
Right.
How does someone draw that line when it has to be your choice, your decision, what you show, what you don't? And then I love that you highlight like uh, what was the word? It wasn't perspective. It was I lost the word. Um, that's okay. But you get the idea. Like you're the narrative. The narrative is what your social media sees and your followers and community sees. So how do you kind of define what's in and what's out? What's authentic and what's not authentic for you?
Yeah. So this was something that we worked on this trip, and it's essentially a filter. And so for me, we brainstormed, Mike and I brainstormed a lot of different words that would help filter and decide for me whether or not I would post it or not.
Hmm.
So, and the filter worked in lots of great ways. So, for example, um, I'm trying to think of an example while we were on this trip. So, for example, we show up to a hotel, and let's say the hotel is super beautiful, and I want to just like do a walkthrough, or I want to take a picture of the outside and just say like checking in, something stupid, something stupid like that. And so, what I would do is first ask yourself your filter words, and go, does this hotel in any way fit within that filter? And you go, yeah, okay, it does. You're like, okay, great. And then the filter is used again on how you go and capture or share the thing about the hotel. Because once the hotel is in and you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to use the hotel, you don't then just again do your walkthrough video. You got to use the filter to decide in what way are you going to capture this hotel, and then therefore is how you're going to show it to everyone else, right?
Isn't it like a constant? It's a work. Like this is ourself being in
So
ourself, and even
mhm,
if we are on holiday, this is like it comes automatically. Like nowadays,
yeah,
and go like, okay, this is what I want to show to ideal clients, the people that are looking at me, they want to maybe hire me and see if we connect somewhere.
right.
It's so like they don't need to see that I wasn't able to go poop because I'm in Marrakesh and I don't know what to eat. Like for example, you need to filter out, and it's also a relief in a way that you don't have to show everything.
Totally.
Like
No, and it's the wild part is that not everyone sees everything, right? So if you have 100 followers and you post something on your stories, I'm sure it's less than 10% actually see your story that one time, right?
yeah,
And people get the craziest impressions from social media when you've lived your own life. So you know that you've had, a year full of lots of different adventures and work and stress and happiness and birthday parties or whatever, you know that. But then you run into someone you haven't seen in a long time, and they have a certain impression, and they always
Yes.
say, oh, so like you've been traveling the world and wow, and I'm like, that was 2 weeks of my entire year. Whittled it down. You have this impression of me that I'm constantly globetrotting, flying in business class to around the world. I'm like, that was one time.
So I wonder what
But
stories
works.
people create of us without us even realizing, if you showed
Yeah.
up for that one time in social media and they caught that glimpse of you traveling around Europe for 2 weeks, like, oh, wow, he must always do that. So I wonder what
Right.
narratives people are creating about all of us, even in real life, even though we
Yep.
don't run across them all the time, I love that you share that on social media. You'll have a percentage of your followers will see your stuff. Like, people aren't following you day to day, moment to moment, or
Right.
at least I hope they're not.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're not checking in on you
I
each
have
moment of every
stalkers for
day.
sure.
Oh, good. That's at least a couple is healthy. It means you're on the right track, I think. But like, no one's stalking you day to day, minute to minute. So not everyone
Right.
catches your stuff at all, anyways.
Yes.
So like, posting more frequently just gives you a better opportunity, perhaps, to catch
Right.
different people at different times.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you two are an example. Like, you both are on socials a lot. And again, I have no idea what you're doing unless you are sharing it on social media. And so my immediate impression right now, do you guys want to
Yeah, I love this game.
Lily
Let's
and
play.
Vic breakdown?
Let's
Yes,
play this
Okay,
game.
let me
Yeah.
teach. So you're constantly on like a dock photographing a bride walking into a boat, right? That's number one. Like, you're constantly doing this. Number two, Vic is constantly making Lily food, right? He's always in the kitchen making food. And Lily is also constantly, like, you always have a camera that is bigger than like half your body, right? So there's like your upper body and head, but then you have a camera bigger than that with a flash, and you're always explaining something to someone. And that's pretty much it. Those are the 30 things you're always doing.
I love that
that's
analysis because, I don't think I've ever sat there and taken like 2 steps back and go like, okay, what did Lily and Vic do today in today's life? So I love that because we're on a boat. I'm actually freezing my ass off right now. It's so cold in this house.
It's cold.
But where we are, and then we live in a stone house, and it's just
Okay.
always
wow.
cold
Living in a stone
all the
house
time.
sounds like we are living in a cave.
Or castle.
I mean,
depending on your
it's
perspective.
basically a cave that someone put together. Like, it's not
Yeah.
natural. It's an
Yeah.
unnaturally formed cave, basically.
I love that. So let's see where we can take that. So
Yeah.
people are creating narratives of you based on glimpses you've shown them. So
Right.
So it's even more important that we be intentional and deliberate with the stories we're telling, does it not?
Of course.
We
It's
kind of want.
it's so easy to want to overshare because we're human. We're excited by so many things, right? You can't, like, I hate, the reason why I really have a challenge introducing myself is because how do you whittle everything about you? How do you
Yeah.
distill everything about yourself into 30 seconds without just going, I'm Jeff Chang, that's my name, and I'm a wedding photographer. It's like, is that it that defines you? It's like, well, no, I have so many interests and things I love and things that excite me and things that scare me. But like, it's hard to share. But on socials, it's really easy. I might, like, if I order a dish while I'm in Paris and it shows up, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I go, oh, wow, this is so amazing. Like, it looks so good. I can't wait to eat it. And of course, my brain goes off and goes, well, take a picture, show it to everybody, right?
Yes.
Show everyone how excited you are about it. But step back from it. What does that communicate? What are you saying, right? And sure, your friends might think, oh, wow, that looks like a really good dish. And like, I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy it. But to your clients or to prospective clients, it might just be like, oh, it's another bowl of pasta. Like, there's a dime a dozen on Instagram. There's nothing unique or special about it. And you might, while you're scrolling, not even know that you've landed on Jeff of the apartment because it's just a bowl of pasta, right?
Yeah, sure.
And there's, again, like my friend Mike was saying, how when he sees my work, he knows it's mine. Like, he's just scrolling on Instagram, but if he sees a picture, someone he doesn't know, he can just tell by the style of the image that it's mine. And he's like, if you can do that, but for Instagram on stories, that people would stop and go, oh, I know that's Jeff. And it's telling a specific narrative, then that's where, I don't know, good things happen, I suppose. This is all new to me. So
How has your narrative been evolving over these past 17 years? That's a lot of experience in this industry.
oh God, it's a lot of bowls
It's
of pasta.
yeah, it certainly is. I hope we gotten better
Yeah.
over time.
Um,
So go
yeah.
ahead, I'll let you kind of dive in. So it's obviously a journey, right? And you said you started that recently. Why now? Is it the 40 years
Mm.
old? Like I'm 41. I feel so much wiser than I was about last week. Like every week is a learning opportunity. And so is that just the experience talking now? It's like, hey, what's more? What's the depth? What's more about
Yeah.
me, myself?
I think it's fear has played a big part in my particular journey. I think that over time, I once said this to a friend of mine, that my growth as a wedding photographer has been like a good mutual fund.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been on the up, but by 8 to 10% every year. It's never, which is fine, which is great. Like, I'm very grateful for slow, continuous growth that I can count on. That is, that I can count on. But it's never been the wow. I've never jumped 100% or 50% in a year, and that's both in kind of my work and my clients, how much money I make. Like, everything is just being steady growth, and I have been afraid to try things because I don't want to disrupt what is working.
Totally.
Right.
Yes.
And so you're like, and the more years and the more growth you have, the fear gets bigger because you have more to lose.
Yes.
Which is why I think if you are starting fresh, you are in the most beautiful, rich environment where you can literally do anything you want, and there's no consequence whatsoever. The consequences that we have are all in our head, right? Like, oh, I'll fail, or people will think I'm an idiot, or they'll, they won't buy my product or whatever. But in 30 days, nobody, maybe in less, maybe in a week, no one would ever remember they've moved on, right?
Yeah.
You'll read a news caption about something terrible that's happened, and by the third video that you've watched, you've completely forgotten about it. And you're talking about people's lives who are, they're in turmoil, and you're like, oh, that's terrible. And you feel for them. But then by the afternoon, like, are you still feeling bad? And that's
No, we are
you
there in
moved.
front of a computer thinking about, or with the phone thinking about next photo to post and feel better for
Right.
that.
So my point is, in the world of kind of your internet persona, I think there's a lot more space for experimenting than I think I previously thought was possible.
That's
So
fascinating.
now I'm like, okay, I still have nothing to lose. That's the reality. At any point in my career, I actually had nothing to lose, because I'm still me. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to photograph only rock and roll brides, with red hair. I'm like, well, that's never going to fly. And it's like, well, that's not me. I don't want that anyways. It's like, well, what do you want, Jeff? And when I describe it and I say, these are the couples I'm looking for, I want, I like the idea of like quiet luxury. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Yes.
beautiful wedding. It's gorgeous. They've obviously put a lot of intention and thought behind the design, and everything about it is super creative, but it's done quietly in a way that's not like, there's a difference between like lux and luxury, or I'm trying to think, like, there's like a showy way of doing something, and there's like a quiet way of doing
Yeah.
something. And
Pretentious
both,
and not pretentious.
pretentious, not
Yeah.
pretentious, right? And so, and then there are the personalities of the couple. And I love working with people who have some sort of creative background. Like, they're an
Mhm.
architect, or they're a creative designer, or they're an interior designer, or they are a graphic designer. Like there's always some sort of like design background or artistic background, like they're a art curator or something like that, that really kind of resonates with me and their personality and kind of their choices that they make on their day. And that sounds like really specific, which is totally fine because of course there's going to be fringe people, right? There's always going to be overlap with different industries. And so I want to be bolder on my website, and I want people to come and go, wow, I love this, or like, ugh, not for me. That's okay. Like
Yes.
I'm actually up for it, because if you don't do that, then you end up where I am, which is I kind of satisfy a lot of people, but I don't really impress or wow anybody,
Okay. Are you
right?
satisfied also about yourself? Maybe you work for
But
satisfying the other one, but what about you? Like when you see
yeah,
your job and you go like,
exactly.
I I love it. That's what's next step, next chapter of Jeff.
Yeah. I Wow, that's a deep question. Are you satisfied with yourself? Is that the question you just
Yes,
asked?
yes.
Wow. I'm a work in progress, and I'm more confident and excited about myself than I
Hmm.
have been in a really, really long time. And so that I'm very proud of. I really, I like analogies. And so I feel like in a lot of ways, I've been, okay, I don't want to say, I don't want to say Walmart, but like it's a very easy worldwide understandable analogy. So Walmart is one of those places where it satisfies a lot of people, right? A lot of people can go there. It's very accessible. You can find what you need, but it's nothing very specific, right? It's very broad. It's very like average. And
Okay.
then you might go to a store. I don't know what's a fancy store. You might go to Hermes. You,
Wow, you picked the best
just
one.
started her. Let's
Sure.
just go to the right Walmart and Hermes, and you go there, and it's they only do whatever, a few pieces of clothing and a few purses, right? They have 100 SKUs versus Walmart has 1 million SKUs, right? And
Sure.
so I think that's what I want to kind of get towards is I want to become a SKU of one. I want to be a shop that only sells one product, and it's extremely niche, and it's really, really, really good, and people are really excited about it. And if I can get closer to a SKU of one, I feel like that's where good things will happen.
I feel like as
This
you
is
go
a
through this
sign of maturity, by the way. You're growing up.
as you kind of go through this journey of rediscovery, what we found is that that person you're seeking is essentially a version of yourself. All those values and ideals and wants and dreams and desires are deep down like that's a version of you, perhaps with more money or more means, but that's the same things you like. And then that's why
Mm,
it's so easy you're able to connect with them because you're just you're talking to a version of yourself.
yeah.
And once you
Do you think
embrace that
you?
and said,
Sorry, sorry.
yeah,
I
and
have
then
so
once you
many
embrace
questions.
that, yeah, and once you embrace that, it's like the world of opportunity opens up again because
Right.
it's easy to talk to yourself in an authentic way.
Do
And
you
oh,
do you
sorry, go
think
ahead,
those
go for it.
clients you can find those clients more in Canada or Europe?
Oh, interesting. I think both for sure. The challenge, of course, is the logistics of travel. Um, I don't want to shoot. I mean, I have been in the past shooting 35 or 40 weddings a year. I'd rather shoot 15 to 20. And if the majority of them were here in Vancouver, that would be great. Like 15 in Vancouver, 5 abroad would be a dream of mine. I think that would be really good. Um, and I think back to your point, Vic, what I wanted to add was it's been, for me, it's been a journey of figuring out like to be a wedding photographer for 17 years. It's not just for the, it's definitely not just for the money or for the, I don't know, like there's, there's so much more that has drawn me to photography than money, 100%. And actually, I'm going to retract that. There's very little at the beginning that drew me. I wasn't like, oh, wedding photographers do really, really well for themselves. No, that was not my thought. It was I was drawn to photography, to wedding photography, because of people and connections. That was the first thing. And I'd always been a kind of hobbyist photographer, photographing people. So that was kind of the initial beginning. To be a wedding photographer for 17 years tells me that there's something about it that I really do enjoy, something that makes me really happy, that fulfills a creative void in my body. So that's great. Now it's kind of like, okay, how can I, rather looking back at it now, I ask myself, well, are you creatively fulfilled? Are you happy? And what I did this past year was I looked at every wedding I photographed and I wrote yes or no next to every single one. And of the 40 weddings that I shot, I think 5 to 8 were yeses. And so that told me a lot. And I kind of analyzed, like, well, what was it about those weddings, right? So it was kind of figuring out the couples, their interests, their vibe, the venue, the location, the design of the wedding itself. Like, they all played a part in kind of really igniting that creative fuel in my body. And I recently read this piece about ends goals versus means goals. And the point they were making was like, if photography is a means goal, a means to making more money and then feeling more financially secure, then the photography will suffer and you won't be happy because you don't really care about the photography. You just care about the money. Right. And of course you can have different end goals. But if photography is the end goal, that's where real creative magic happens, right? Because then you're not doing it for any other reason. It's a what's the word that he used? It's a non-conditional goal. So there's nothing you're planning on getting out of it other than creative fulfillment. And so that's a really crazy thing to think of because you're like, well, I'm 40 and I have a mortgage to pay and I have, all these things, and you're going to go and just do creative things without the goal of making any money to pay for all these things. I'm like, yes, I am. And I don't know, I'm in a fortunate position to be able to kind of take that choice or make that leap. But I actually think that it's not dangerous. I don't think it's dangerous at all. Like, I have 17 years of photography background that says you'll be okay. Like, don't worry. Like, people will still hire you and you'll still do a good job at weddings. I think it's more just about like refining what it is that I'm doing.
I think that's fantastic because you can see so many parallels of maybe perhaps people taking like the safe route and not going through that journey or that growth. And then you may arrive to a situation where you do those 40 weddings and you put the yes next to only 5 or 8 of them. How did that make you feel when you did that?
Oh, it was like a wake-up call. It's like, wow, I shoot a lot of weddings that I don't. And the question I added beforehand, or added to it while analyzing it, was like, did you know this? Did you know it was a no before you took it?
Huh. That's a wonderful question to ask yourself now.
And it's like, yeek, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a no, like, it wasn't a red flag. Like, none of the weddings I shot last year, I walked away from going like, ugh, gross. Like, I hated
Yes.
those people. They're the worst. Like, no, I had fun at every single wedding, but was I creatively fulfilled at every single wedding? And that was the more specific question.
Well, yeah, maybe it seemed like work rather than a creative process. You try to balance that part of you says, I'm going to take this and be a creative person with it, or I'm going to take this, I'm going to pay my bills with it, right? So there's that line sometimes we try to follow or try to at least acknowledge.
Yeah.
It's like the reality versus the romance, And I think a lot of people sometimes get stuck in the reality, not realizing you have to have the romance, otherwise it sucks. It gets boring, it gets draining, you don't enjoy the process, and that's where you start to lose maybe your edge, or you lose your creative fun and
Uh-oh.
oh
Uh-oh.
there we go.
There you are.
So you have to keep. Is there a balance to keep between them, or is it something we're constantly swinging or navigating throughout our lives? Maybe some periods are more creative, like now. Maybe some periods are more back to just the
Do our
grind.
job in a way that we know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. it's a challenge for sure. And I'm sure there are different ways people would go about this where you don't feel like you're taking a complete leap of faith. So what's nice is that because weddings are always, it's rolling, right? It's not like I start every year with 0 bookings. I start every year with some amount of bookings, right? So I think in December I had, I think 15 weddings already booked for the following year, for this year, for 2025. So because I've kind of made the statement or in my mind that I'm only going to shoot 20 to 25,
Mhm.
it actually kind of was a bit of a relief because I already was at 15. So I'm looking for 5 or 10 more. And of course, my 15 that I already have, not all of them are big yeses, right? So that's okay, no problem. We'll improve as we go, right? It's not like everything changes instantly overnight. So what's been kind of freeing in a lot of ways is now that I'm getting inquiries right off the bat, I'm going, is this a yes or is this a no?
Hmm.
And instead of going, oh yeah, I'm available, because that used to be the first question, are you available? And then you would ask the other questions. So now right off the bat, I say, yeah, is this a yes or a no? And if it's a no, then I send the, I'm sorry, I'm unavailable. Because if I'm only looking for 5 more weddings, like I'll get 5 more weddings between now and the end of the year. I'm not worried about that. So I want 5 yeses. And that's kind of my goal right now.
Are you
I
changing anything inside your social media strategy or strategy in general about how to attract that type of clients that you want?
On social media,
On social media, website, anything?
yeah, I mean, website is the biggest one.
Hmm.
Website is the biggest one. The other one is social media. I'll get to. I'm not sure about that one. But the biggest thing I've changed, and this seems like such a basic thing, I feel kind of embarrassed to be admitting, but been shooting in Vancouver for 17 years, and there are certain venues that bring a certain client, right? And of course, every venue in Vancouver probably has, I don't know, like 50 to 100 weddings. And of course, not all of them, just because of the venue, are going to be yeses for me. They still have to be the right clients. But I've never asked to be on a referral list or a vendor referral list of a venue in Vancouver before. And that seems like crazy sauce. Like, why wouldn't you, right? Obviously, for newer photographers, I'm not suggesting, like, it probably won't work, right? If you're brand new and you just call up or email a venue, they're not going to be like, yeah, sure,
Hmm.
they won't. But I have a reputation in Vancouver, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. I wrote down all these venues, and so far, every single person I've contacted has either said, yes, we actually already have you on our vendor list, or they've said, no problem, we'd love to add you to our vendor list. Like, it was like a snap of a finger. They were like, yes, no problem. And I'm like, oh,
Okay.
great. Oh, I thought this would be way harder. But the craziest thing is, one of the venues, it's a hotel in Vancouver. It's like one of the oldest hotels in Canada, actually. They not only told me that I was already on their vendor list, but they sent me the vendor list.
Oh.
And this is the funniest thing. I look at it and I am listed out of 20 photographers, which is way too many. I'm the 18th photographer under the apartment photography, like T. So it's alphabetical. And
Ah.
and I'm like, who in the right mind would ever click on 20 photographers that are being recommended by this hotel? Like, it's not going to happen, right? They already have their own recommendations from their friends, blah, 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 blah. They're going to click on the first 3, or maybe they'll peruse the list and go, oh, that sounds interesting, right? Anyways, I email them back and I say, hey, I'm rebranding and I'm just going by apartment photo.
Oh my God. Yes.
And they go, no problem. We'll update the list. And I kid you not, I'm not even lying. I'm not making this up. The very next day, I get an inquiry.
Oh,
And under the where did you hear from me, they wrote the hotel vendor list.
there you go.
Well,
Smart
golly, I
man.
love it. It reminds me of the Yellow
Golly.
Pages days when you'd see like 1, 2, 3 cleaning or ABC
Yes.
cleaning. You're like, why would they name that?
Why
It's
would they name
because
the business that?
because it's
Oh my
alphabetically
God.
sorted and people go to the first 1, 2, and 3.
There's this is the thing, is that even though we live in the age of Google and AI, people are still hearing about you through non, you know, advanced ways,
Yes,
like
for
a
sure.
recommendation list from the venue that you're getting married at. And it's all about putting, like, I'm not saying I want, you know, every person who sees that is someone I want to book. It's more like I'll take it and then I'll filter it out myself, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I was so surprised by that.
So if I want to be in that list, I have to put like a star, Lily Red, and I'm gonna be before you.
Yeah,
Amazing.
exactly. Your exclamation mark, Lily, exclamation.
I'm rebranding now. Exclamation mark, Lily Red.
Yeah,
But you have to be
exactly.
smart. You know, you're thinking about. You have to also get out of like being worried about content or what they're going to answer. No, you go and do it, and let's see what happens. And you know, take action for yourself.
Yeah. And social media, to your question, Lily, I'm still figuring that out. I'm constantly experimenting on Instagram, and I experiment with the philosophy that, uh, what is my philosophy on Instagram right now?
It
It's a
changing.
very,
It changed like an algorithm change. You change the philosophy
oh yeah,
based on the
I
algorithm.
yeah. Okay, so this is my philosophy. My philosophy is, if your post sucks and no one sees it, then great, because no one saw it. You can revise it, you can delete it, you can try again. And, you know, people say, like, oh, what if I make a reel and it totally flops? I'm like, great. If it flops, it means no one saw it. It means you could post it again tomorrow with some revisions. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
it, the answer is actually in the failure, right? The failure is like, oh, only 100 people saw it. You're like, great. Who are the 100 people? I don't know any of them. Yeah, exactly. So if the point of your real reach is, I want to hit 10,000 views, well, if 100 people saw it, then like redo it and put it out again, because you can get close to 10,000, right?
Hmm.
So I do a lot of experimenting. I know you do too, Lily. You
Oh,
experiment all the time.
experiment too. But you
Yeah.
know, I'm getting there. I think this 1985 years of 40 makes me myself include myself to be more mature in this
Wait,
direction.
are you in 85 as well?
Yeah, I'm 95.
Oh my
And my
God.
skin is glowing because
You're
I'm pregnant,
glowing.
nothing else. So
You're glowing. Look at your hair. That's great.
it's a good
I think
year. It's a good year.
1985 was the year of great hair. 83, not so much, but
Ah, look at you, Jeff, your hair. Come on.
you can
See,
rebrand
show
this to
us.
hair.
Show
You can be
us.
Sorry,
rebrand completely. Jeff the hair, you can rebrand
Jeff,
completely.
the hair. Maybe it should just be like an
The,
outline of this. This is
oh
my
yeah,
logo.
it's
Yeah.
Love it.
fantastic.
An upside down L.
God
Please,
bless.
please, absolutely. But
I'm so
anyway, like
envious of the hair. Anyway, sorry, I got
you
off
go with it.
topic.
You go with it. Like before, you used to think like, okay, I fail and I suck. And Vix know very well my ups and downs due to social media, which is crazy if you think about. And right now, when you say like, okay, didn't work, it's a great lesson. Okay, let me try
Mm,
something more. It takes years to get there.
totally. I've actually, speaking of failing, Instagram seems to be really pushing the idea of trial reels. Do you guys have that feature right
We
now?
do.
Hmm.
Yeah. What's your take on it? Like, how have you tried it? What's your thoughts?
So I think it's an interesting way for you to test anything you ever wanted to do, or also repurpose content. So if it's a trial reel and you feel like talking about something you've never really talked about before, why not just try it out? It's going to show it
Mhm.
to people who are not your followers and who don't know you at all anyways. And if there's an interest for it, it'll try and find and match that. So I think that's fascinating. You can
Mm,
open up themes and topics maybe you're just curious about or just wanted to see how they worked. And then what I've discovered more recently is that you can just repurpose content. If you do have really well performing content the social media algorithm has already told you, hey, it's popular. A lot of people have viewed, commented, shared, or liked it. It seems like a no-brainer to dump it into your trial reels and see if Instagram can find you other people who would love to engage it and maybe didn't see it the first time around. So I
Right.
think it's two great opportunities for experimentation.
Mhm.
You get to play with content and see what resonates, Social
Right.
media is so interesting nowadays because it's not just follower counts like it used to be. It's
Mhm.
not just like your network and who you have in your group. It's also what people have in their interest, So you have a chance, potential to communicate and reach out to someone who's just interested in the same stuff as you. Um,
Right.
and so
What do
that's
you
really
think?
fascinating. Yeah, what do you think, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's like the concept itself makes sense to me. I've spent a lot of time trying to understand the algorithm. And to me, the algorithm is and of course it's ever changing. So I don't know how dated this information is at this point, or if it's information at all. But my sense over the last year of posting on Instagram has been that um, Instagram is going to judge how well your content does to your followers when you first post it. So
Yep.
when you post a reel, it goes to your followers only. It'll be like 99% your followers, 1% non-followers. And if within the first 5 minutes, I've can basically predict if a reel will do well within the first 5 minutes, which is insane. Like that's
Yes.
so little information, but it's enough. But in the first hour, if it does well with your followers, then the algorithm goes, okay, great. Like your people, there's a 15% engagement rate. Okay, great. This is good content. There's a good average watch time. Sure, we'll push it out to other people who have similar interests. Wonderful. Um, the trial reels, they're not going to your followers. They're going to people who don't already follow you, but presumably followers who are still have similar interests to kind of what your account has been tagged as. Because I'm sure because otherwise it's going to show my reel to like some random person who doesn't even own a camera,
Yeah.
and they're going to go, no, I don't like this video. Well, of course you're not going to like this video because you don't, you know what I mean? You don't resonate with photography in any way.
Sure.
So like that's kind of weird. The few times I've done it 3 or 4 times. The first 3 times, within the first hour, I'd have like 96 views. And you're like, 96 views is nothing
Yeah,
in
it's
the
true.
world of real,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, so like what am I supposed to gain? Like what analytics do I have here, right?
What's the
On 90.
point?
Yeah, what's the point? I'm like, if you
Yeah.
don't actually show it to anyone, then like I'm not really getting much understanding here, right? And so I think one of the times it said, hey, you should consider posting this reel to your followers. I'm like, are you sure? Because you told me to use this to figure out whether or not it's good content or not. And you've only shown it to 100 people in the last hour. And it's like, I've got a few likes.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, those aren't the community. That's not the community that would have liked it in the first place. So I don't really know what to do with this information, right? And then yesterday on Tuesday, I had a reel that I always post at 3. This is my thing, and I know people are gonna be like, you can post anytime. Like, no. I really like to post at 3 because it kind of gets me off my ass, and
Yes.
I work on it. And I go, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get this out by 3, and it
Yep.
happens. So I got to 3 o'clock. I had therapy that day. It totally threw off my day. And by 4, I still hadn't finished my reel. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to just wait till the following day.
Yes.
And then it kind of was like, or maybe I should try this trial reel thing.
A trial
Right?
reel.
Technically, I'm not posting it at 3 because no one will see it. Okay, so I did it. I posted it. And I think in the first few hours, it hit 10,000 views.
Mm.
And I was like, interesting. That's actually very different. And I looked at the analytics and it showed a 15%. Oops. I
It
lost
was
you
a
guys.
suspense.
Yep.
Suspense
Yeah.
moment.
You-
You look at the analytics and what happened. Tell us.
So it had a 15% interaction rate between accounts reached and accounts engaged, which my understanding is it's quite good. So I was like, oh, okay, great. And I did something I don't normally do, which is the next morning, I was like, it sent me a little notification. It said, you should share this with your feed because it's done better than, I don't know, some percentage, right? Some analytic it gave me. And I was like, fine, I'll do what you suggest because maybe I've been, I don't want to push against the Instagram, the
Yes.
almighty Instagram algorithms. I said, fine, go ahead. And it performed, I would say, like normal, like a regular reel that
Okay.
would do well.
But you share in
So
the morning.
yeah, I shared it in the
So it was
morning. It was like
different
1:34.
time to you say like, okay, let
Yeah,
me try. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. That's again, it's only one piece of data that I've collected on trial reels. So I'll keep at it. I'll figure it out. But
I feel like
I was just gonna
sorry.
say, whenever Instagram talks a lot about a feature, it's always kind of like a hint, like,
Yeah.
Use it because we're trying to push it, and so we're
Yeah.
going to be more favorable to accounts that try the new things, right?
I think all of social media is always a constant experiment, because
Mm.
what is an algorithm? It's essentially like an AI model that listens and listens and puts values and stuff, and it's always constantly changing and evolving based on different inputs and etc. So it's always in a grand experiment. So if Instagram has these new features available, experiment with them and see if it does give you any traction.
Yeah.
But sometimes I guess that could be quick little hacks or quick cheap little wins, but the fundamentals don't change of always just putting out great engaging content. Social media has kind of changed in what it pushes, and so the new big metric is our views, shares, saves, likes, and comments. So it almost changes how we go about creating content nowadays, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the goal is to get viewed and shared and saved, for saved content, we're essentially having to create things people value or things they would return to later. And if we talk about shares, it's like making an emotional connection that hits you and goes like, oh shit, that's something I
Mm-hmm.
want someone else to see. So it really evolves the game and how we as creators, photographers create content. And so
Totally.
I feel like trial reels are like the extension of that. It's like, okay, what content can get saved and shared by people who don't know me?
Right.
And so that's kind of like figuring out that little formula of what
So
is good content.
I'm going to just pull up something. Hold on. There's going to be some keyboard sounds here as I pull this up. I am working on a reel right now about the algorithm.
Ooh.
Ooh, the reel will be out by the time this podcast comes out, so you can check it out if you haven't
Fantastic.
already. Let me just find it here. Okay, so you kind of hit a point that was recently talked about on Instagram. So it says, okay, so there's connected reach and unconnected reach. Connected reach is accounts that already follow you, and unconnected reach is accounts that don't follow you. And Instagram themselves, so the head of Instagram stated that for connected reach, likes are ranked higher.
Really?
And for unconnected reach, sends are ranked higher. So if you get lots of sends, then, which means you've got content that is very shareable, it's going to rank higher for the unconnected reach segment of the algorithm, meaning it will push it to people who don't already follow you. And if your video or reel is liked a lot, it will push it to more of your followers that already follow you.
But those non-followers are photographers, non-followers, or mm, 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 the person lives next door doesn't even know what does it mean having a camera
Yeah,
in the hands.
I mean, so this is the thing, right? Is I think in a lot of ways, potentially, I am shooting myself in the foot a little bit because while I can mentally separate and go, okay, well, my feed is going to be my portfolio, it's going to be my work that potential new clients will see, is one thing, and then my reels are going to be where I have all my educational content, and that's completely separated. Instagram is not, does not care, right?
Yeah.
It's just thinking, well, what is working, what is not working as your account as a
In
whole.
general,
Yeah, exactly. And the reels, you can go to your analytics. It's like 99% of my reach is by reels, 1% on posts and stories. So if my educational content is being sent and viewed by the right people, that's going to be other photographers or people who are interested in photography. So the shooting in my foot aspect of it is that I'm not really reaching potential new clients.
Yeah.
But you know, that there's the aspect of like, well, photographers have to get married at some point too, right? I was like, okay, well, so technically, everyone's a client, a possible client in some sense,
Yes.
but I'm not necessarily reaching that couple or that bride who's just at home scrolling, who is an architect. Like, she won't see my reels about how to use Lightroom. She's not going to watch that, right? I want her to be able to see a reel that is about, like 5 cool ideas of how to design your dream wedding or something like that. And she'll go, oh, that's awesome, right? But I'm not making that content, so I'm not reaching that person.
I
But
completely understand that aspect of it. It's like, are you now talking to the wrong audience as you create the different type of content, And we do the same thing. So it's kind of like you're diving into how this algorithm really works, I think maybe a couple of years ago, it would have been it would have been a more difficult discussion to have. But as Instagram's become slightly TikTokified or TikTokification, you see multiple niches or topics opened up on personal brands, I feel like as photographers, the ones that stand out turn into personal brands on some level, right? Personal brand meaning you're not just your photography, you're also uh, your other personas, your other narratives that you talk about. So as you open up yourself from photographer to personal brand and other narratives into your feed, those pieces of content get sent or viewed by those people with overlying interests, right?
right,
And so we kind of rely on that algorithm to determine best if our wedding content goes to the potential bride, couple, or groom or planner. And then we kind of rely on the educational content to be fed via the algorithm and
right,
interests to that photographer or to that vendor. Does it
yeah,
work that way 100%? I have no idea because I don't
totally,
know the algorithm completely. I
yeah,
just
Yeah.
have to take a bit of faith that God, and I hate that because I want the analytics and the data and like how does this beast work? But
yes,
how else do you discover that without experimentation and putting that content out?
totally. I mean, I guess that ultimately the crazy thing is, why is your feed pretty much things that you like? Like, why aren't you getting, I don't know, like, I don't get like woodworking videos. They exist and there's tons out there. Like, I don't get it because it's not an interest of mine, right? And so somehow it knows. And I think, to your point, Vic, there is some trust that we place in it, where I think the point is, like, you should create the content for the different audiences, and then we have to just put our trust in the algorithm to distribute it the way it's going to distribute it, right?
Yeah, it's based on it's no longer based on just who we follow. The real and the reels
Mm,
speak to that. The reels are your growth and brand awareness vehicle and tool. And if you look at the analytics of them, most of them are being shown to people who don't follow you. It's just
right.
people who happen to have those similar interests. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of some validation that, hey, putting out those different types of content does align better nowadays because the algorithm is sharing piece of content based on interest and not necessarily based on that network or that the followers, right? A couple of
Right.
years ago, it wasn't the same story. A couple of years ago, you would get penalized for sharing content that wasn't on theme. But
Mm,
nowadays, with the interest being on the algorithm being based on interest, you have a bit of flexibility on who you're speaking to because the algorithm
right.
will magically kind of direct it where it needs to go. It does make the content like great performing content has to be great performing content. Like
Right.
the game has been leveled up so much though, so it's challenging to get seen.
I think what's kind of like to add to that is figuring out which pieces of content, like, you could have a reel that has you could have 2 reels that have 100,000 views each, and they each have an average interaction rate of 15%. But then you go to the follows because of this reel, and one of them could be like 10 and one could be like 1,000. And you're like, what? They're so similar. How is that possible? But there are nuances within the reel, and that's a piece I haven't dived a lot into it, but I have figured out, I think generally speaking, I found, and Lilia, this is a question to you. Have you found that from your more educational pieces versus your more meme pieces, have you seen a difference in how they affect whether or not people will follow you or not?
For sure. For sure. Absolutely. Like I can see that Instagram is going like is thinking about, okay, you're not just a wedding photographer. You're doing
Yeah.
something else here,
Yeah.
reaching not just the brides, but now you're reaching wedding photographers. And so it's an adjust and it's frustrating because I see with the wedding contents, it's go like, oh my God, it's pushing now because Instagram knows me. And with
Right.
educational content, is like, I don't know, what are you doing? And this is very like, you're spending time and energy to create, and it's like, okay, go to low view. And yeah, so to answer to you, it's, I experienced that, but I go like, I have to, I go with the mindset that I have to retrain. I have to retrain. I have to let Instagram knows that I I am also an educator.
Right.
So it's a different audience. Like it's not just a bride, it's not vendors. Is of course even before was wedding photographer, but now the clients is between wedding photographers and the brides. So it's you
I'm
know
I think, like, I can't imagine a lot of couples would come to you through an educational reel, but I could definitely see how couples could be really interested in it afterwards. Like I've gotten comments from past couples, or they'll comment or they'll DM me and be like, "Oh, I've been really like so intrigued by the videos you've been putting out, and like so neat about like how you edit the photos." And I think there is kind of the byproduct is they're seeing, at least for me, because I do a lot of editing
mhm.
tutorials, and it actually kind of gives strength to like my couples don't bug me anymore. Like they actually, instead of being like, oh, are you, like, when could we expect our photos? Like I actually very rarely get those emails now. I
Yeah,
think it's because they're seeing the process and they're like, oh wow, it's very time consuming. You're like, so it seems like he's, it's a lot of work, right? And I'm
absolutely.
like, because otherwise you don't know, right? You just think like, oh, didn't just like slap some filters on there and then you just send them off to me. I'm like, sure, for 1,000 photos, like and I'm tweaking each one, and I'm showing you the behind the scenes of like my process. So I
The
think
behind the scene are
definitely,
great to attract both of them. Like if wedding photographer want to see how you work, and
yeah,
clients they go like, I want him because like I can see what's more than just a wedding photographer. Okay, he take
yeah,
a great photo, like maybe other 5 other photographers around. I want him because he's laughing in that way. I want him because this is how he's speaking with the how he's talking with the clients.
right, right,
Those are gold.
right. It's I'm so distracted right now because I just thought of a DM that I received from a past client of mine that I can't get out of my head, so I should just tell you. It's going to toot your horn a little bit, Lily, but
Go.
I reposted your story about how we're going to do a podcast today, and a past client of mine went, Lily, she's my favorite photographer in the world. And I'm like,
Where
and why did you hire me?
Oh,
I,
come
I, I
I'm like,
on.
love
You know
I'm like,
why?
that's awesome. What a small world. But I'm also like, wait, do you know how that sounds to tell your photographer that someone else is your favorite photographer?
Oh, come on. Thank you for telling me that. I love you too.
Larry, that's how amazing you are. That
I
there are people who have to just, they have to. I was their third, fourth choice, I guess, probably.
Come on. I want to close. I want to close this trial uh, conversation by telling
Okay,
you,
yeah,
the most mm, views that I got on trial, it was a video of me being pregnant, say stupid things without even a camera in my hands.
Yeah.
It got 18,000 view compared to the
Yeah.
other trials about how to be a wedding photographer, how to do this. They got like 3,000 view. And
Yeah.
this one got 18,000 view. And I never share because I go like, what do I do with it? Like, what do I
Right.
do with it? Like,
Right.
okay,
What's the
done.
point of it? Right.
What's the point? It's still there. It's looking at me. It's looking
But
at
you know,
me.
no, that trial reel is still, even though you haven't shared it to your feed or profile, that content still lives there, and people do find you through that content, whether you're aware of it
Right.
or not.
I wonder if
Um,
some people will actually have because you could technically have as many trial reels as you want, which in a lot of ways, like having a ghost account, it's connected to you without being connected to you.
Yeah. It gives you the ability to experiment and talk about things maybe you weren't necessarily talking about, You could be you go off the rails here and pick something super niche, offensive, or whatever angle you wanted to go,
Yeah.
and it would
Yeah.
essentially be your ghost profile persona,
Yeah.
You could be a
I'm actually just thinking
diehard,
I'm actually just thinking if there's a way that you can actually use trial reels as just a way, if you, this is a new idea. What if you use trial reels instead of using it for its purpose to try things out, you use it exclusively to target new people to
followers.
follow your educational account.
Yeah. You
Because
could
then
repost.
you wouldn't be bombarding your current followers with like, hey, look at me, I'm teaching people over here. You would only be showing it. It's like a free commercial.
Yeah, you get to experiment. You get to trial. You get to try
Yeah.
out new concepts without
Yeah.
any repercussions.
Right.
You get to
Where
play.
is the point where I go, okay, it's good to go. It's good to share above 10K.
I think it's just you want stuff that gains traction and finds audience. And I guess when Instagram sends you the message like, "Hey, this is doing well,"
Yeah.
maybe that's the time to incorporate
That's
it.
the
But
Instagram.
in Instagram we trust,
In
and Mark we
Instagram-
trust. Yeah.
In Instagram, we trust. Okay, I'll finish off by saying this is like an Instagram humble statement. My best performing reel by 2 million views over the highest one I've ever gotten. By 2 million views, my best performing reel is a video about my cat, like my gray tabby cat. And
You know what
that's
that means?
You are
It means we
taking a
need to
picture of
see
the cat?
Yeah. I'm taking pictures of my cat.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
we need to see the follow-up video is what you're telling us. Like we got to see
What
the
I'm
next step in
saying,
that process.
so I made a follow-up Christmas video and I did 1 million in a week.
There you go.
And I'm like, where's Purina? Where am I getting my sponsorship from now? Like, I'm getting out of the wedding photography game. I'm just doing cat content from now
Go
on.
for it. Whatever it works. Whatever it works.
Yeah, that's a great segue. I was going to ask you, you've been doing wedding photography now for 17 years, and you've got cat creator on your horizon. What is the life expectancy, the progression of wedding photography? Is it something you stick with through your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, or does it give you other opportunities now that you're experimenting or more willing to try out and see?
Yeah. Interesting question. I think in the past, I have thought if John Dolan can shoot weddings, I don't know how old John Dolan is, so I'm not going to guess, but he's an older guy. And I'm like, if he's doing what he's doing, he's just become more and more niche. I once heard him speak, and he was describing his perfect client, and it was so freaking specific. Like he might as well have said like brunette hair, 5'5". Like it felt that specific in the aspects of their life and their interests. And I thought that was so interesting. And he only shoots, I think he shoots like 10 weddings a year or something like that. And he's super happy and he has a book. So great. Like I think that in the back of my head was like, well, if John Dolan can do it and that's a career that works, then that gives me hope and inspires me that I can have a career into my whatever, how old he is. But at the same time, I think over the last year, I've really opened myself up to a lot of different possibilities. Education is definitely one place. And I've being kind of a yes man. I've said yes to a lot of different things to kind of test the waters.
Mm-hmm.
And wedding photography education definitely has a lot of different avenues. It's not just in speaking engagements or podcasts. It could be digital sales. It could be master classes, digital videos. Like there's so many different places. YouTube is another one. And spending time with my friend who's a YouTuber and understanding kind of the business behind YouTube a little bit from his perspective has really opened my eyes to the idea of like more passive income. And it's incredible, like just knowing his story, and I've seen the back end, and he showed me kind of what AdSense pays per view and blah 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 blah. And I genuinely think the guy would be a millionaire if it wasn't for editing costs. Like he doesn't do any of his own editing, and that for sure is the biggest cost. He's 2 full-time video editors, and not to say that he would have the time to do that. Like he has to. It makes sense. But like as a wedding photographer, my costs are actually really, really low, right? I do all my own editing. Of course, I've got subscriptions for different apps and things. But aside from owning a camera, like that's about it. Clients pay for my travel expenses, and I shoot primarily in my province. So, in his case, he's got like, I don't know, close to 100 grand going out the door every year just in editing costs, not including his travel expenses that aren't covered by anybody. So he's got a lot of high costs, but he's fucking killing it on YouTube. It's very, very impressive.
I feel like social media and digital is the potential is enormous, right? With photography, the what's the barrier? How do you become a photographer? You buy your first camera, and all of a sudden you're a photographer. Sometimes also that way with social media. What's your barrier to entry? It's your cell phone, right?
Right.
But then to be long term at it's a different story. To make it into a lasting, fulfilling, creative process and work, that's where the nuances come into play. And so what we've always dealt with is like, okay, is there like a physical expiry to the wedding photography career? Am I physically going to be able to keep this up at 30, 40, and 50 or 60? Or did my priority shift? And so for us now, we're really leaning into understanding the power of the personal brand, right? It's that, yes, you're a photographer, and that's one of your narratives, but there's also other things you can add into that mix. And social media in its current form has given us a vehicle to do that, right? We can talk about the different things that interest us or that we know a lot about, and we can claim that space while it's still in its earlier stages rather than later stages. Is this opportunity still going to exist in 5 or 10 years? Of course it is. When I talk about personal brand social media, it's just going to change. The game's going to change again. The album's going to change, and how we interact with it will change. So we're trying to claim our space online now while we have a better handle on it. And while there's still, honestly, there's not so much competition in the wedding photography education space, right? There's a million photographers, but then to show up on social media with a plan and strategy and go about it, a lot of people get intimidated by that because they're still going through the photography journey. I feel like we've kind of come to a point in photography journey, like we've got a decent handle on it. And if it's a faucet we want to open up back up again, we can. But now there's this other land out there. I think exploring that, really harnessing the potential of social and digital, just because we have the ability to, we put ourselves in a position where we can play a little bit, we can experiment, we can take some risks that maybe we thought we couldn't, because the alternative is so much more boring or average, or we know what that is, we know what it's like to do those 40, 10, 20, 30 weddings a year. And we're at a point where, okay, we can position and change it and make it more fun and interesting for ourselves.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think quantity definitely plays a part in it, right? I think I've got a few friends in Vancouver who are younger, and they are doing they just got that young hustle in them, which is like, I'm very happy. I'm very happy for them. But for me, it's like, okay, I want to distill, and I want to really get to the core of what makes me happy. And it's definitely not shooting 40 weddings. I don't actually know how I did that last year. Like that's crazy in my head. I just
That's a
go
lot.
to show up. But what you said something, Vic, that made me think of something. Oh yeah, I was thinking about like, okay, the online space. You were saying how it can be intimidating, and I was going to ask you, are you thinking about, are you coming from the perspective of um, someone who wants to get into the kind of educational world of things, or do you just mean like as a new photographer coming in and trying to take up some space in this huge digital world?
Both. You could look at it from both perspectives. One is the imposter syndrome. Do I belong here? Am I allowed to speak? And giving yourself the right and the courage to go out and speak anyways, even though you don't feel confident in it, because through the
Yeah,
reps and through the time, through the experience is where you build the confidence. It's just
right.
starting. And then from the digital space, like then to be able to shift gears, if you've done a certain thing for a long time, it's easy to keep on doing it.
Mm,
But I think the realization is that you can't, like the formula doesn't work forever. Like it works for a certain time, and you have to evolve and grow as other variables change. And so being able to jump into education takes a bit of a mindset shift too. It's like you have the ability to teach and communicate, and you have to get over that fear of, if I share my secrets or if I share what I know, someone's going to take my job. So that's a
right.
big adjustment as well. Uh, and there's just imposter syndrome. Like, hey, is what I'm
Yeah,
teaching valuable? Because there's a million creators, a million courses, and everyone's got a different angle and approach.
right.
But there's different paths for success, right? You don't have to just do one. There's not just one formula. You've got to take a formula and a framework, and then you've got to adapt and hammer and figure out how it applies to you and your niche and your audience and what you do,
Yep.
right?
It's so in. I mean, it's such an interesting topic. Like, I'm starting to think about like the part about saying if you share your secrets, like is someone going to take your job? And I think that's definitely something that holds a lot of photographers back from getting into the educational world. Um, but I kind of look at it more from the perspective that wedding photography is one of those, because it's so new. Like, whatever the first camera was like, I don't know, 1860 something. Like, when was the camera obscura
Mhm.
created? I don't know, 1700s. I'm not sure, but relatively by industry, it's quite new, right? It's not like masonry or like
Yeah.
stonework or something like that. It's not that old. My point is, it's an industry that I really wish had more of the culture around apprenticeship, around learning, around kind of fostering the next generation, of having, masters of their art and the creativity, right? You think about like painting, there are apprentices in painting and there are master painters, right?
Yeah.
And there are, of course, the techniques and the things that you can learn to become a master painter, but ultimately the secrets are on the canvas, which are publicly available, right? Like, it'd be like saying like, I'm a really good painter, but I'm not going to show you my painting. It's like,
Yeah. So
oh,
true. I love this
okay. It's like,
perspective.
if I show you the painting, you'll see where I did all the strokes to make their eyes and did the hair, and you'll see how I painted the clothes. And like, well, then what
Totally.
point? You know what I mean? Like, to me, digital photography is just a painting, and you're already putting it out there in the world. People can see it, and now you've got like AI that can like look at your photo and go, I think these are the settings in Lightroom that created that particular tone, right? So like the secret's already out, and the kind of gatekeeping around it is really like, you're just hurting yourself, I think, ultimately at the end. So while we're in this space, like you said, Vic, where we're growing, well, the digital space is growing for education. There's definitely the not just the need, but the appetite for this content. Um, it's a great opportunity to be taking up space and saying, hey, this is, laying claim, I guess is one way of putting it, of saying, okay, I'm gonna put myself in as the expert in X, Y, or Z, right?
Yes.
So for sure, like I really don't see the point in, like, there's nothing I can't share that I think would take away my business, because at the end of the day, if someone wants to hire me, they're going to hire me. And if they are if they're going, oh, I could hire Jeff, or I could hire this guy who's, I don't
Try
know,
to be
like,
Jeff, maybe?
try to be Jeff, right?
Try to be
Exactly. So
Jeff.
there,
Try to
you
be
can only
Jeff. It's
You
not
can only be
Jeff.
yourself. So
There
I'm
is
going to
only
sell
one
Jeff.
Gioconda in the world, and the replica actually look awful. So
Yeah. Wait, only one what?
Gioconda is the painting at the Louvre.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
there is like from Michelangelo, Leonardo, all these amazing
Right.
paintings. You go like there are one done
Right.
from him, like a Cappella Sistina, where it's painted. Like other people can try to recreate other paintings,
Yeah.
be inspired.
Right.
It's not gonna be the same. Actually, the replica is worse.
Yeah. And it definitely sets you up as the expert, right? And like you like put it this way. I don't know how. I don't know what the connection is, but my past client thinks you're the best photographer in the world, which is not
Hey,
untrue, okay? But the crazy thing is you've taught hundreds, thousands of people have been touched by your knowledge and your education. And yet my past client isn't going, well, all of those people are the best too. They're all
yes.
just like Lily. They're not even close, right? So yeah, I think it's a non-starter. It's not really a good excuse not to do it.
I
I
think
want
that's
to tell you
fantastic.
something, Jeff.
Oh,
I did to pass you this moment of glory that you're giving to me right now from these clients, and like I'm doing like this with my hair. So like, okay, somebody loves me in the world. I did like a Q&A yesterday on my stories and said like, okay, ask me anything that you want me to ask to Jeff on the podcast. And the most popular question wasn't the question, was like, oh, we just love Jeff! Exclamation point, exclamation point. I go like, I understand
Oh,
that you both love Jeff, but I want a question for him. So just to let you know, people like whatever you're putting in the world, you receive, and like people loves you. So photographers, whatever, send me those messages. They love you so much, and
that's
isn't
pretty
it
sweet.
great things to receive? Okay, you don't have a question, you just want to say to me that you love it so much. So I pass the message, and
Thank you.
people loves you. I have one question from this
Yeah,
Q&A
please.
that is very technical, and I
Oh,
went like, oh God, I want to know this
great.
from
I
him
can't
too, because
I
like
can't
when it
wait.
comes
I love
oh,
Q&A. It's like
when it
every
comes
question.
technical,
Nice.
I go like, no, it's not for me. Anyway, so any tips on easily matching different camera color for a consistency set?
so that's the topic for your next reel, by the way.
That's for
Whew.
you, not
Okay.
for me.
I'm oh man. You know what's crazy is that not even just different camera bodies of the same make and model can create different color tones, but also lenses. I don't know if
Huh?
you've ever noticed this, but if you think about it, like a lens has 10, 15 pieces of glass and they're not perfectly clear. They have some amount of tint, right? That's where you can get magenta and greens from. And so if you've got like a 50 mil on one lens, you got a 2470 on another, the glass is different. And so it's going to see the light ever so tiny bit differently. And that makes a difference. I think most people are, I'm going to say this. I think most people are probably trying to get their color to 100% good.
Mhm.
If it's really off, that's something for sure we can talk about. But if it's like minutely off, I think you need to move on. I
Yeah.
think you need to move on with your life.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to be the guy out here saying don't do 100%, but I'm telling you don't do 100%. Do 85%.
85.
Because do 85 because 100% is going to lead you to burnout. It's the guaranteed road to burnout. When people tell me they spend 5 minutes per photo, I'm like, and how many photos do you deliver? And then you like do the math. I'm like, okay, so you spend 12 days editing one wedding. Okay, so not only can you not like, and it progressively gets worse because
Mm-hmm.
if you're in day 6 of editing the same wedding, are you a happy camper? No, you're exhausted. You're so sad, right? And that's just going to make your productivity go down. It's going to make your motivation go down, and all for the sake of you getting to 100%, which you're probably not getting. You're probably delivering a subpar product because you're so tired and sad, right?
Yes.
So if your goal is 85, I think you'll be a lot happier. So this question is super, super specific. There are ways that you can do like in-camera not in-camera calibration. You can do Lightroom calibration for color for specific serial numbers, so that when you import the photos, it'll do the correction specifically for that camera. I wouldn't change them all. I would say like one camera is your base camera, and you want to make everything else look like that one camera, because otherwise you've got too many variables. The less variables, the better. But then my second point to that is if you don't need to, and it's just the tiniest little difference, just tweak your white balance a little bit and realize that no one will notice.
Yes. That's
No one,
the big that's the
like,
big truth about it.
like if you, like, okay, the Mona Lisa, right? That's full control, because at the end of the day, the color that is on the canvas is going to be the color that everyone sees, right? But we don't have full control. You have to get it in your mind that like people are going to view their
Yes.
photos on their Samsung Galaxy, on their iPhone
True.
15, on their crappy laptop that has like a crack going down the screen. You know, we do have zero control, and every single screen is different and it's got different color tones. So like you sitting there tweaking the tiniest little thing to make it look perfect on your screen, well, it's purple on their screen. So like you can't
Even
control it.
posting on Instagram, you go like, wait a minute, this is different than my
Yeah,
computer.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you gotta let it
Okay.
go.
No, done. I'm done with questions.
How do you want to wrap up? Do you want to wrap up with gosh, we probably talked for another 2 hours, by the way, so it's a bit frustrating to wrap up. What do we see from you from this coming 2025 and 2026 and going forward? You know, you talked about a lot of things, a lot of personal development and growth. What are you most excited for the rest of this year? You know, we're almost done we're well into it now. We're well into the mix. Where does this take you?
Oh man, I'm really excited about 2025. Like I said earlier, I'm in my yes phase. So saying yes to a lot of opportunities, I think I have felt just this overwhelming amount of positivity in myself and wanting to share that with as many people as possible. And it's just, I don't know, it's so invigorating. I think like kind of recognizing how childhood traumas is a very kind of like catchphrasey word these days, but kind of have led to a lot of doing the safe thing and being safe and being protective or fearful, have led me to where I am now. And I'm not angry or sad about it. I'm very grateful for where I am right now. But now I'm like, wow, like where if fear and being scared got me to here, what will fearlessness look like? What will positivity look like? And I'm just so excited about it. And so, and I know that a lot of people already operate this way. So I'm like very excited for all of you out there who are like, yeah, wait, have you been operating under being scared and fearful of life? Like, yeah, a little bit, right? Like, oh, geez, you've been missing out. So I guess I'm just excited to be joining the rest of the world that is wanting to share and be positive and really lift other people up. I think Lily, we talked about this we did. And we talked about how there was times where we were thinking, oh, if we give our secrets away, they'll steal our work, or community is really just like, they're my competition, right? And we've really changed our mindset. And actually it's like, no, this community is great because it adds to my feeling like I'm a part of something.
Yes.
Right? Because in so many ways, we thought the only way we could succeed is to be on an island. And I don't want to be on an island. I'm sitting here by myself, right? I'm with you guys, but I'm by myself. And most of the time, I wish I was on a podcast all the time. It'd be great. But I don't want to be on an island anymore. I want to be with everyone else, and I want to be a part of a community. And the best way to do that is to be a positive light And that's what I hope to be in 2025.
Wow. My
Wow.
2025 seems so lame now, but damn. But seriously, no, that's like a it's like you're embracing the rest of like
Yeah.
what do I say? Like you're embracing the rest of yourself. Like you're allowed to be present and happy and go chase things and see where it
I
takes you.
imagine
It's
you
the joy
to
of the
be
journey.
like a singer on top of the, how you say, palco, on top of the singing on top
Like a
of
stage?
the stage. Bravo, I speak Italian now. Top of the stage, and now 2025, you let it go, and all the people are grabbing you and pushing you in a different part of the stadium, and everybody's touching you and sending you everywhere to the people. Everybody's going to have a piece of you. Like that's what I imagine. You were in the stage, and now you're like embrace everybody. I can see you. I can see you.
That's I read this thing recently where it was saying how like when we get to a place where we recognize that we are coming from abundance, that is the best time. Ooh, something's happening. A
It's gonna take a
squad shot.
screenshot. There
Oh
we go.
wow,
like
thank you.
like what's
I
happening?
was like, the computer is exploding. We're talking too
Yeah, I was
much.
like in 5. I was like,
Four.
please. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So recognizing
Abundance.
that we come. Oh, that's so cute. So we're coming from abundance. And when you come from abundance, oh wow, this is very, hold on. What do I do? Oh, okay. Sorry. There was like a thing came up.
Yeah, sorry.
When you come from abundance, it's just such a beautiful place to recognize that you have the capacity to share and that you have enough to give. And so I really, to your point, Lily, of just saying like, oh, like people want a piece. Like I don't think in the past I was coming from abundance, and so it was really hard to give, and I think giving was really draining, and it didn't bring me life. Whereas now, actually, to give is to give to myself, and so yeah, it feels really good, and I don't know where it's taking me, but I think that's the best part is that I'm not. There's no this is the end goal. The end goal is just to keep going and to keep giving from this place of abundance. And it's not a means to an end. I have no other like alternative motive. Like people ask me like, oh, so like, are you going to create like a master class? I'm like, I don't know, maybe, sure.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
sure. But like, I'm not like build an audience and then sell them a master
Mm-hmm.
class. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's no,
You go with the
I
flow.
go with the flow. And actually, before we end, I have a quote. Give me 1 second. I can grab a book.
Is in Italian?
Here we go. Oh, good. You couldn't see the fact that I'm just wearing shorts.
I'm wearing pajamas, so
Okay,
no problem.
great. Okay, so this is the book, and it's by this
Okay.
gentleman right here.
What's the title again? Don't believe? Everything you think. I love it.
So I was hanging out with, do you know Jennifer Moore?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I was hanging out with Jennifer Moore, and I was having an existential crisis. And she said to me, you have to read this book. It'll help you out a lot. It helped me out a lot. And then she goes, wait. And she runs away. We're in her hotel room. She runs away and she comes back and she goes, I have it. And I want to give it to you. And she gifted me this book. So I've read it a couple of times. I'm not a reader. Like I'm not sitting around Sunday morning reading a good novel. That's not me. So my point is it's a really easy book to read if you're not a reader.
Okay, it's good for me
You
then.
know, I'll read you. So it's for you. Yeah, exactly. Let me just find the section I want to tell you about. Okay. All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
This is This is reading time with Jeff. This is why we always feel like we're chasing, grinding, hustling, trying, and feeling constantly stressed and overwhelmed. Even after we accomplish our goal, we'll only ever enjoy it for those few seconds, and then we're off to another goal we have to chase because we never actually got what we're looking for. What we're ultimately looking for are feelings. We want more money to get a sense of security and peace. We want to spend time with our family because it makes us feel so much love and joy. We want to do what we love because it gives us a sense of fulfillment inside. These are ultimately feelings that we are trying to get, but we keep thinking the goals or objects we want to give us those feelings. This idea is inherently flawed because our feelings can only ever be generated from within us, not from external things. External things can prompt us to create the feelings, but ultimately it is us that produces those feelings from within ourselves. What's paradoxical is that when we create something with conditions or reasons, we actually immediately feel all of the positive feelings we want. Sorry, without conditions or reasons, we actually immediately feel all the positive feelings we want. Unconditional creation is creating something without it being for another purpose, but purely to create it because we just want to create it. It's not for money, fame, love, or anything else. We create it simply because we want to create it. This is creation from abundance. When we create from this state, we already feel whole inside, and all of the love we want to feel is what we're feeling in that moment. We can only pursue unconditional creation if we are in the state of non-thinking. Our brains will make us think that it is pointless to do something just simply because we want to, but that's the secret. As soon as we do things for no other reason, we step into the realm of living our life unconditionally. This is when we experience flow, oneness, and a direct connection to the universe.
Can we do more reading with Jeff, please? Can we open
I didn't write it. This is Joker.
Wow. That's taking a deep breath and go like, I got to 2025 and I'm not alone. That's the point. We think we are alone, but like we're part of this wedding photography world where we're so many struggling with the same things of wandering and desire. And you reading this make me feel like part of your world, or like more understood from our friends. You know, we're very truly good friends that we live like far from each other, but uh, always count on us. You're such a wonderful person. We love you.
I love you guys too. It was one of my favorite parts of WPPI was meeting the
I
two of
know.
you.
Same,
That was the
same.
best.
Thank you, Jeff, for your morning with us. I know it was
Thank you for
early. You can come
the
back to work, to sleep now.
yeah. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it. It
See,
was definitely insightful for all of us, you know.
yeah.
The journey. The journey, the journey, the journey.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
important.
No, thank you for having me on this podcast.